Fishing from the bank actually looks simple. You just walk up to the bank and start casting. But is it really the best way to fish Stillwaters? Today, I'm actually going to break down the real pros and cons of fishing from the bank for Stillwaters. So stick around because this episode's for you. Welcome to Stillwater Edge, the ultimate podcast for stillwater fly fishing enthusiasts. I'm your host, Greg Keenan, and in each short, action-packed episode, I'll share expert tips, essential techniques, and clever tricks to help you elevate your stillwater fly fishing game to the next level. Welcome to the Stillwater Edge Podcast. I'm your host, Greg Keenan, and today we are going to talk about bank fishing and when it benefits you, the pros and cons of bank fishing, because bank fishing in still waters is important. A lot of us think that we need a boat and a float tube and all that sort of stuff to get out there. But in fact, there's some big fish, and I'm going to name some lakes where bank fishing is the only way you can do it. So stick around, let's get to it right now. The main portion is the pros and cons, and starting with the pros of fishing from shore. Think about it when you were a kid. Accessibility, you didn't need a boat, you didn't need a tube, you just walked right up and started casting. You were kids, we didn't care. And that couldn't be any more true today. That's why I wrote this episode, because I was like, my son, when he goes out with his friends and they just fish from a bank, and they're so happy because they caught fish. Because that's what it's all about. So, number one is accessibility. Number two, low cost. It's the most inexpensive way to fish from a bank. You don't need anything. You need a rod. You need a couple flies, or if you're going to fish bait, whatever it is, doesn't matter. It's super easy. It's fast. It's simple to set up. It's ideal. It's quick for evenings. In the later evenings, it's quick for after work. Quick if you just want to get out midday. It doesn't matter. It's just fun, right? Stealth factor, though. Here's where it's cool. Fishing from a bank is pretty stealthy, because you know why? Because the fish are in that area. You don't have a boat. You don't have that aluminum. You don't have oars. You don't have a motor. You're not spooking fish. Seasonal edge of fishing from a bank. This is another pro. Spring, fall, where are those fish? In that littoral zone, 0 to 20 feet down, right? So that's the edge. That's where you're casting. That's where it is. It's funny, though. Here's the thing. You ever notice that bank fishers always think that the fish are in the middle of the lake, and people that are in the middle of the lake are always trying to hit the bank? It's not true. The fish are usually in that littoral zone. 0 down, 0, the shoreline out and down into the depths, right? That's where the fish are. So safety, there's very little safety risks as well. So that's another pro as well. So you don't need a life jacket. You don't need this. I mean, unless you're underage, that's your own, all that's your personal choice stuff. So, but safety is very little risks. So, all right, the cons of fishing from a bank, right? You have limited range, particularly on a back cast. If you're fly casting, limited range. Angle restrictions are huge, right? Angle restrictions are huge. So if the wind's coming at you and you can't punch that fly line through the wind, it's going to be very frustrating day, right? Trees, brush, steep banks, they all block your shots. You know, if there's a deadfall in the water and you only have a small area that you can fish, blocks your shots, right? So that's an issue. Mobility issues. You're stuck. You're walking on the bank. You can't exactly get to an easy spot, like way over there on the other side. It might not be accessible for you to get to. So that's huge. Pressure zones. So on shorelines, check this out. So when I see my son fishing on the shoreline, you look around and there's a path. Like it's just beat down. So it's pressured. The fish they got to be crazy if they're going to go back there. Do you know what I'm saying? Unless there's a massive amount of food source that's going to draw them back there. So this pressured zones, right? Seasonal limitations, right? Summer heat or winter cold. Where do those fish go? They do not stick in that littoral zone. They go deep, right? That's where the oxygen is. That's where they're comfortable. They don't want to be in that warm water. They go deep. Wading risks, right? So if you're in that fishing from bank and you walk out, I mean, in the area that we live in, up here in British Columbia, you're going to sink. The bottoms of these lakes are muddy. You'll be up to your neck in mud. Those are some thoughts, right? Those are some of the key differences in bank fishing. However, check this out. Jurassic Lake, very famous lake in Argentina, bank fishing, and you get some of the biggest fish. Pyramid Lake in the United States, in Nevada, biggest fish in Pyramid Lake as well. Some serious bank fishing is done like that. And, I know they use ladders down in Pyramid, but again, it's considered, there's no boats. Boats can't go there. It's too windy. You'll flip over. Jurassic, there's no boats, right? I see pictures that Phil's have showed me. And again, those are very famous lakes with massive, massive trout because bank fishing works. They're cruising along those edges, all in that area. So trying to get from the bank to the middle of the lake is not always your best key. Keep that in mind as well. So closing thoughts for you guys is shore fishing can absolutely be effective. So if you're new to Stillwaters and you have that youth in you again, and you're like, man, I just want to get out, go bank fishing. You don't need a boat. Make it easy, right? The right conditions, spring and fall, even make it even easier for you guys. So, but if you want year-round versatility, especially in the summertime, watercraft will open up so many more options for you to fish the lakes. And that's you progressing as a Stillwater angler, making that investment in choosing that. Before you set out on your next trip, think about the season and accessibility of where you're going to fish and like the likely area of where fish are holding. I kind of told you that earlier in the show. So, all right, guys, that's it for this show. That was a quick, easy one. The pros and cons of bank fishing. And you know what? Do not dismiss it. Bank fishing is 100% successful. Why? Because think about a river. We're standing on the banks of a river. The lake's just a bit bigger. All right, guys, as always, I will see you on the water.